I'll leave that to everyone else. I wasn't there.
I feel
Okay.
like
Mainly just run DPS comps.
so
Our
yeah.
That's Yuki's plan.
our plan. So the closest thing we had to a plan was before, like in the 5 minutes before the match started, our coach basically got in a call with us and gave us the rundown on all of the comps that we wanted to run, and that was essentially our plan. It was run the comps that we had practiced in scrims and do what we could against these.
The problem with that though is that we started running these comps week 9. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we didn't start
And-
practicing these until after the final Bot
Yeah.
Burgers.
Yep. So that was an issue, and I feel like
Which isn't really Yuki's fault, considering he didn't come onto the team until week 9, and we actually managed to get our first coaching session. Was it like the day after Bot Burgers game? And so after we went from no coaching to having something of a plan, and that was better than nothing at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Yuki because he, at least he tried. The other coaches kind of came in, did one match with us, and then just left and never came back. So at least Yuki tried. But he did put us on comps. Like, he likes my Widow, which is fine because I'm comfortable on Widow. But like, he put a lot of everyone else on, characters that I'm not so used to. Yeah. So like the comps may be good, and it may be great that the comps work well against other comps, but
it didn't work
it
well
won't
for us
work if you don't know how to play them correctly.
The other thing is that the comps, we never actually wrote down what the comps were in some sort of channel. So we committed a lot of them to memory. At least we tried to, and then during the game we
got yelled at.
We messed up a couple of the comps by either switching around what we were going to do on attack or defense, or holding in the wrong spot or whatever.
The King's Row switch
King's
up.
Row,
the
we
legendary
attack and defense comps because we got the Junkrat Hanzo bunker, and we thought, oh well, Junkrat and Hanzo are normally defense heroes, so that must have been the defense comp, and it wasn't.
Yeah, we were kind of idiots, but I feel like it was nerves building up to it because we were down 0-2, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for most of us that we were confident in winning the double clap match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people were, yeah.
So it kind of came as a shock.
Two things really. I think the first one being the fact that we can't remember comps we must all have short-term memory loss.
I seriously think it was nerves right there, and
yeah, that must have been
Well,
nerves.
also, I mean, I think one of the biggest problems as a team that we have is that we can't coordinate well, because we all have individual skill, but we don't have synergy. Even though we tried to get it throughout the whole season, but we never really got the synergy. So I feel like Double Clap never really had that much synergy, just like us, but we were individually skilled better than them. But coming the finals time, they actually got some synergy, and we never really did.
yeah, I feel like they put in a lot more work than us. Yeah, even
And
though we
the
scrimmed
other
a bit before the playoffs, I feel like they worked more to build as a team together, not just play the video game on the same team. I don't know.
From the wise words of Dom, so I felt like my plan was just to fucking play my best, and hopefully we get to work with Mr. Yuki Man and learn good comps.
To roll out with against DC. We saw how that played out technically.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you guys see Master Dempsey's Twitter, his big post, the Twitter.
It basically explains everything.
Yeah, it explains all that. But yeah, I feel like I was probably not playing my best, considering that I had gotten home from work 10 minutes before the
Okay,
match
yeah, I'm sorry. Putting you in
And-
first map immediately
Yeah.
was a throw.
That's
Because Dempsey had 2 hours of warm up, and I had 5 minutes of warm up, and I was put in
yeah,
first.
I
so
regret that decision.
I also had an hour of dueling with Dad time as well.
Yeah.
I just
To add on to Silver a bit earlier, the reason we didn't really have much synergy is that we never decided on the starting roster as well. We would always switch things up.
It was always map specific people, oh, it's a Genji map, we put that in, and it kind of got into this continuous spiral.
Oh yeah, and I mean, considering that Laser Blitz just dipped a couple matches before, because Laser Blitz dipped after the signing period ended. So we had Silver Star was more of our sniper specialist, and Laser Blitz was our starting hit scan. But since we had no one to like replace Laser Blitz, we only had about 2 weeks to get Silver Star trained on like McCree and stuff, which we normally didn't play.
I don't know. You're kind of making him sound like an Ash OTP here. He can play other things.
He said sniper specialist.
Yeah, I mean, I can play all the heroes that I have to aim on heads with.
Clicking hits
No, that's the thing- the thing
tracking hits
that-
God's Orb, Silver Star.
The thing that Laser had over me was like the Tracer and those type of heroes. He was a nutty Tracer, and I didn't.
And I have to agree, his Zarya was nuts.
And his Zarya was a lot better than me. He had tracking over me, whereas I had flicking.
Yeah.
So he had it wasn't necessary. I think we both played well, but the meta kind of pushed him into starting position because there was more tracking hero like dominant, like with Zarya and all that. If that makes sense.
So let's
didn't.
run down the list.
Okay, run down the list.
Short answer, we didn't. Long answer, let's go down the list. So we start off with Arrow, and he tells us, I'm not sure how many people like actually know this, but like the reason he gave to us. Sure, go for it, because you were the one with that.
Alright, so he told me, like, in specific detail, he said, give me, on a Sunday, give me until Thursday and Friday to decide. I was like, okay, in those, like, 3 days you have, I'm gonna put you as a just free agent, because that's what you want, so you can finish your school, do whatever you want. And then, basically, like, we didn't really have a choice. It's like, yeah, you can do that, and then you can decide afterwards. And then, afterwards, he just joined Bob Burgers, so, yeah, without any warning, telling.
And this is something that I heard. I don't remember if I heard it directly from him or someone else that he told, but it turns out basically just the reason that he left was because he didn't want to be on a team that went in considered to be a top team because he didn't like the stress. So and that it had nothing to do with this school at all.
My personal opinion on that was that he wanted to be the star, and he wanted to be the person that brings the team back from like since we were already considered the top team or one of the top teams. It didn't appeal to him. He wanted to be on Bot Burgers because they were the worst, and he wanted to bring him back. That's what I took from it, which he kind of did, but not really.
Well, I never heard him directly say that. I've only heard like other
people
say
know, but that was just my take on it.
Yeah.
That was just what I thought.
But yeah, the most part of it was we were talking about in staff chat is that he was stressed out about the top spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to Otta. I think he was the next one, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got Werner out of it, so like.
Yeah, we traded him for Werner.
That was our only
fine.
like player that we coped with the best. I feel like.
Yeah, because Dempsey was just as good as Otta, so we didn't lose very much. And considering that we didn't have like a top tier Reinhardt in Ace, we definitely needed that trade. So that was good for us until when did Werner?
But it was also
like week 7.
It was also the fact though that Otta straight up said like, I don't want to be on the team anymore. I want to swap. Like, it was just the fact that he actually told us.
Yeah, he actually told us
didn't-
why he wanted to go, and
I didn't agree with Arrow because he kind of like tried to snake his way out of it.
Sorry guys, I got exams. I'll be right back.
You're not gonna be able to move back. Oh, you were gonna stay in the channel.
Yeah, no, I thought about it for a sec.
So yeah, Otta was fine, and then I think we picked up Bob Ross and.
To clarify, there's 3 Bob Rosses. He was the 3rd Bob Ross.
The Ross.
Yes, the
Bob.
Ross.
The one
Bob.
not on the plat chat or the DC.
Yeah.
So, did Laserblitz? No. So Bob Ross joined, and then he was also the first to go of Werner, Bob Ross, and Laser, right? Okay. So yeah, Bob Ross had personal issues. I don't know what those are. Orbit probably does. I don't know if you're willing to share that now or not.
Bob Ross wants me to say, but I'm just gonna leave it to family issues.
Yeah.
Family issues. Okay, so family issues means he can't play. That's fine, but it was also past the signing deadline, so we couldn't really get a support to replace him.
Yeah.
And then Werner. Was it Werner or Laserblitz next?
They left at about the same time.
Laserblitz.
It was Werner first.
Werner first. Okay, so
Werner and then Laser.
Werner told us essentially that he got bored of playing Overwatch and left all the League Zero related servers. He left our team server, he left League Zero, he left basically anything League Zero related. And then we see him streaming Overwatch with his college team again, just like the next night or whatever, after he told us he was bored of Overwatch.
I think he was
So
bored
that
of.
sucked.
I think he had more of a laser blitz syndrome where
It was
he
just-
got
I think
bored
it
of
was just
League
bored of
Zero.
League Zero, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was like, he goes like, I don't like playing in this league anymore. Like later, I'm outie or something. Like I quoted it and put it in team.
Well, because the later I'm outie, that was Laser Blitz that said
Okay,
I'm
no,
outie.
No, that was
no,
Werner.
that was
Werner?
Werner.
Laser.
Yeah.
Here,
Okay, that's
I have Laser's DMs.
Also-
he's not gonna do
Dom,
this. I'm just gonna say it.
Dom said something in chat as well,
Oh.
talking about our losses.
Just, I'll read it if no one else wants to.
Sure, go for it.
Sorry, Mr. Orbit, but I think it was management's fault. And regarding playoffs, it was because management decided to put in a player that had no warm up instead of someone who was warmed up a buttload already. And during the actual season, I blame management another time. No offense, Mr. Orbit, but our lack of a set starting roster kind of made people leave the team. And I mean, kind of, because we didn't commit to what we went into the first map with. Don't forget the fact that we unfortunately lost Ulfgar as a coach rather early in the season due to problems IRL that we couldn't help.
Yeah,
basically.
Ulfgar, that was sad. That was
Hey,
not his
good
fault at
news,
all.
guys. Ulfgar turned in his thesis on the 16th.
Oh, he did? Did he pass? Do we know?
I haven't asked.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure.
So
he was
back
smart.
back to Laser, if we just want to.
Yeah, back
finish
to
that.
back to Laser.
Okay. Okay, so he said, I'm off the team, causes me too much frustration to work with, and then afterwards ask him, like, specifically why, and then he just says, I feel that I don't mix well personality-wise with the rest, and the community in League Zero is not to my liking. So, yep. And after that, just said our goodbyes and gone.
So basically, to answer the original question of how do we cope with all this, the problem was that all three of those people left after the signing window was closed. So we were not able to sign anyone to replace them, and Acronator did not give us permission to sign like any loophole permissions like Easy Clap was given, since they they actually dipped under the 6-person or 8-person or whatever limit.
I mean, we did have
And-
like 8 left, so. There
So
was no
basically,
loophole.
the only way that we were able to cope with it was use the week before, and pretty much just ignore the bot burger game and use the 2 weeks to get people on the team that were still on the team to practice heroes that would have been covered by the people that.
Basically, yep.
I think my favorite person to leave was Werner, so I got to play main tank. That was pretty neat.
I agree. Dempsey main tank, best main tank entire league. I think it brought a lot of pressure upon us, and I mean that was mostly based on our coaching staff and like just the pure scouting we did preseason, and I feel like some of us I don't know, it just may have been hard to live up to that, in my opinion.
I think that it felt both good and stressful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it felt good that people considered that, especially since people were saying like, oh well, the support line was the best in the league, and which of course that felt good. But I think that we probably could have continued to hold that spot if our coaches weren't EU, because I feel like we started the season as indeed one of the top 3 teams, but as other teams were able to like interact with their coaches and practice more together and get feedback on how they were doing, they continued to improve while we sort of flatlined since we didn't have any coaching staff to turn to.
Yeah. I feel that it made losses even more tough to deal with. Especially the Papega game. That was our first loss, I believe, because we went double clap, then flat shot in the first half. Yeah.
Something like that.
Because it was just it was like supposed to be the 2 top dogs against each other, and we lost, and that kind of solidified our lower ranking to them. And then we lost against Rio, and then bot burgers, and people kind of just, I feel like, scoffed at us. You know, like, guess they're not as good as we thought.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Oh, and here's
And another
Domination's response to the previous question of how do we cope with people, and he says, well, it honestly did leave a pretty huge hole to fill, and quite frankly, I don't think we ever really made a full recovery until it was too late. Which, I think that sums up pretty much everything that we said.
And yeah, another thing
Shorthand.
with like being considered one of the top ranked teams, that with the stress being put on the players, that also like caused us to like go in sometimes too confident. If that makes sense, that's why like say we lose one fight on one map, that's when like everyone's confidence drops a bit, and then they lose the other map. So that's kind of how, in my opinion, that's how we lost 2 maps against DC and 1 map against Pacha in the first 2 weeks. And then afterwards, we just picked back up and just forgot the fact that like, you know, we're not considered rank 1. Just play your game.
I honestly think that the Team Minecraft server contributed a lot to our like how we came back and won and started winning again in stage 2.
Or which Minecraft server?
what?
It's like 10.
The creative one, the creative team only one. That I think it improved team morale quite a bit and sort of chilled us out again after having a stressful like 3 loss scenario.
Minecraft's the true legend of this team.
Minecraft.
Hey, and we honestly, I kind of want to go back to it if it hasn't been deleted. Shifting is.
Oh,
I
it's
think,
gone
No, I
forever. It's gone forever.
Which Minecraft server are you talking about?
the
Yeah, I
creative
don't know
one.
which one. Like,
Anyways.
The medieval
Anyways.
creative one.
Alright, yeah.
Oh, well, ton. Like, we would have had people
Yeah.
stay because one of the main reasons, like, I talked to her personally. One of the main reasons he left was not having a stable roster and then not having any coaches eventually. Like, we just didn't have a solid coach. Like, Ulfgar was there, but he was EU, so we didn't really get much work out of him. The work we did was superb. Yeah, it was mainly just VOD reviews because of his alternate schedule. And then Daffy as well, EU. The Strider, also EU. Literally all 3 of our starting coaches were all EU.
It was unfortunate. I realized the problem when Ulfgar started saying, yeah, I'm EU, so I'm going to miss the games, and I'm like, like, he can only, you know, review the VODs, and that's not the same as, you know, being there live, knowing our mentality, our thoughts going into the next map, giving us advice between maps. It's just unfortunate.
I feel like that Ulfgar was like not only was he just really good at like watching VODs and taking notes and stuff, but I think he would have probably been one of the better coaches in the league in terms of VOD reviews and being able to point out to people what they're doing wrong and help them get better. So I mean, basically the whole reason that I'm not trash at BAP anymore is because I did like 2 VOD reviews with him about my BAP play, and we essentially just sat down and focused on how can I improve my BAP play and I use my cooldowns properly. So I feel like we would have been able to at least place like 3rd or so in the league.
Yeah. To emphasize on how big brain this guy was and how much he knew about the game and how great of a guy he was, I was one of the few people who got a private coaching session with him, and over a 20-minute long Lijiang Tower VOD review, he took almost 2 hours to go over every single detail, nitpicking, making sure I understand everything, asking me how I feel about certain fights, you know, different parts of the VOD. Like, if we had him, things definitely would have been different.
Yeah, and another thing, he had to condense like our 2-hour VOD review sessions, the ones we actually had with him, because he took that long.
Yeah, Ulfgar's the kind of guy that if he wants to pursue his career as an Overwatch coach, we could easily end up seeing him coaching for EU contenders or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Feels bad.
I'll wait for Dom's response or one.
Oh, and here's Dom's. Has someone read Dom's response for the last question?
Oh, well, there's this one for this one.
Top team?
I think the question seems easier to answer than it actually is. Ulfgar did go inactive after Arrow left, and I believe Otto too, but I may not be wrong. But the difference in our performance, not just playoffs, but the latter half of the season probably would have went pretty well.
I agree.
He said it seems easier to answer. He's writing more though, so
Oh,
there's probably a second half to this.
yeah.
Yeah, so I... Is it
Were
fine if
you
I
the one
start?
that asked that, Dad?
Yeah, I did. So I guess I'm answering my own question. I feel like Samp was one of the only people like involved in the actual League Zero community itself, always typing in general, you know, whatever. But I feel like a lot of people viewed us as a team that never started proms, but like was never there as a community with the other teams. You know,
And
like,
then
we were doing our own thing.
I get what you
I don't
mean.
know. I'll let the players
Yes.
answer this one because, like, I mean, at the start of the season, all I told them was, "Hey, just don't get yourself striked and banned, and you're good." And personally, I
Personally-
didn't talk myself, so. You know.
So personally, like, I wasn't part of the League Zero community, like even during the main part of the drafting stage. Like, I joined, like, was it 5 days before the draft even began? I essentially just dropped a VOD in, and Ulfgar picked me up because, you know, he went through every single VOD of every player in the league, and so going in, I didn't really know anyone except for the team, and after that, I didn't really feel a need to talk to many people, since at least every time I checked League Zero General, it seems to mostly be some sort of argument between advanced players trashing on novice players, or just like inside jokes kind of thing. That, like, the whole drip situation took over this, like, for the better part of a week or two, and I don't think half the server knows what drip is.
No clue.
Like, that guy we had coach us for like 2 weeks. Or talking about someone else.
Are you talking about Clovix or?
Dripped, like you said, dripped. So you.
No, not dripped. I'm talking about just somewhat. There was this whole thing going on in the memes channel about like, how rare are you, or how much drip do you have, and it basically it seemed like the whole server revolved around inside jokes from season 0 that I wasn't able to pick up.
Bro, I don't know.
Perhaps.
That was ongoing.
I think that's a little different from like the seclusion as a team, but perhaps.
I mean, just a lot of us weren't exactly the most sociable people. Like, that's just how we were. Like, I know myself, I'm fine with just chilling by myself and doing whatever. I'm not gonna go out and seek to find people to just meme around with. Like, if people come to me to chill, I'll stay and talk with them. But I'm not gonna actively look at for people. I think that's kind of the general consensus of how our team was, from my understanding at least.
Yeah, I didn't go seeking friends. I kind of just made them along the way.
Yeah, I think the only people that that actually like play Overwatch with outside of our team here is Pichu and Rydkos are probably the only 2 people that I like actually talk to.
I've been talking to Rantar somewhat frequently as well.
I guess.
But
I'll-
yeah,
I got like
it's-
a whole
it's-
little mini group.
We're mostly just antisocial, is the short answer to the question.
I'll find it.
I mean, Zach can
interesting.
probably confirm this too. I wrote in my manager application, like, for extra details, like, I'm not a talkative person. Don't expect me to be active, in general.
I mean, like, I guess, like, I'll put it this way. I'll find it very interesting if, like, another season or seasons down the road, if, you know, you guys get split up and all that into different teams, if, you know, this One Trick Wonders thing, you know, kind of keeps that together, and then that bleeds over into general a bit more, or whether that just remains in other servers outside of it.
Yeah, I wonder how many people on One Trick Wonders were like also in season 0, because I feel like a part of it has to do with most of us are new faces to the league.
That's
I
all.
mean,
everyone-
I know Dempsey.
Dempsey and me were the only
Like,
ones.
but the starting core is what like really started that off, because it started the tradition of us not moving off into other places.
Yeah,
Like, our starting core, the only people that were in season 0, I think, was Orbit, right?
was Orbit. Yeah, Orbit and Sinop maybe. Was it Sinop?
I don't think
No.
Setup was in season 0.
I don't
Yeah,
know
so
when that
basically
is.
we
So
were all-
everyone except for Orbit was brand new to the league.
Well, if you count Dempsey, you know.
Well, he wasn't part of the starting
yeah,
roster.
the starting roster.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking like the initial drafting roster.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
Because my Doomfist was better, that's why.
Okay, you admitted I had a better brig than you in the goats meta.
Yes! But that
Yeah,
doesn't
no.
mean that we were good at goats. We were still shit at goats.
Can I remind you all who won the One Trick Wonders Doomfist free for all?
I
Oh,
I
SMH.
gotta go AFK for like 2 minutes. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go mowing.
Okay.
He can't get
Oh.
dragged.
Yeah,
Oh.
you guys remember the first day we actually did stuff after we were drafted. We did a Doomfist only free for all, and I'd like to remind you all that I won that. Thank you.
Element's the only one
Okay.
that remembers it.
Yeah, you're the only one that remembers it.
You all blocked
No.
it out of your memory.
In all honesty, though, I think our DPS lineup was pretty stacked, and me and Shifting are maybe I have the right to say on the same level for most heroes. Yes.
Oh yeah, no. Like I would definitely say you're on. Like my Genji isn't as shit as it used to be, so I'm almost as good as your Genji. But like, your Genji is still better than mine.
Kidding. No, thank you though. Yes. Your
My
Pharah
Doom-
kinda shit on mine.
Yeah, my Pharah is
Okay,
better just
that's
because
like
I played a lot
okay.
of her.
Listen though. That's like me saying I've been playing a little bit of Doom lately. It's probably up to your skill level, you know.
Alright, let's.
You do
stop
realize
this
we haven't played
DPS
together in
romance.
like 4 weeks, right? So you don't know how good my Genji is.
Let's
Well, I guess
stop
we'll see
know how
it
good my
tomorrow in
Doom
the
is.
private pug.
Shifting.
We'll see.
Please.
Because the rest of our team crumbled. Like we lost our support line, we lost our tank line. Like we lost our main tank twice in the league. We lost our off support twice in the league.
You can
Like we
Also,
just like our DPS was always consistent. It's just the other roles around. Like you can't just have like you can't just have a DPS. Like you can't carry an entire game of Overwatch
Yeah.
on your own unless you're
If
like
I
a
can add-
thousand
If I can
SR.
add something to that, I feel like DPS comps they center mostly around like taking different angles and focusing the same people, having the same target priority and target focus. We didn't have that in the team coordination usually needed,
Yeah, I think we
unless
had
we just
the,
popped off.
we had
Yeah.
the target like focus. We just didn't have the priority, so we would focus down a target, but it wouldn't be the right target, and then we would just ended up getting decimated by the target that we were supposed to be killing. Or like we would try and focus the DPS that was being pocketed by 2 supports instead of going after their supports.
So apparently Synop is available now. I know you said you couldn't drag him in, but
You can be
Fine.
just sitting around with Dom with text chat.
See, I haven't typed text chat too. Yeah.
Get both of our off tanks in text chat.
he's not even in
Alright.
the text chat.
Yeah, Dom is currently typing out.
Okay.
I mean,
this.
start with. I'll
Alright.
go ahead and start with that because with that we had an internal talk of what we should do about it, and we agreed that if everyone was on board, we would have gone to talk to staff about it.
Mhm.
But it came out that not everyone was on board.
Yeah,
with it.
well, I think I was the one thumbs down on it, and
You and
Yeah,
Hans
we were
were the-
unanimous.
me and
or-
Hans, yeah. The reason that me and Hans didn't want to go to staff is because we hadn't talked to Orbit yet about our issues. So
And
I
Silver.
think we said that. Oh, and Silver
guess.
was the thumbs down too. So anyway, we basically said that we should go to Orbit with this first instead of going directly to management. And it seemed like people agreed with that, and it never happened. And by the time that, yeah, it was just too late to do anything, and then suddenly it was playoffs. And we basically figured that even if we did replace Orbit, then we wouldn't really have any time left. There wasn't any time left in the season to sign new people. There wasn't any time left to sign new coaches that would have significantly turned around our season. Especially considering I don't think we took this vote until after the signing window closed.
I guess the original. Sorry, I completely off topic. But I scrolled up to the original vote, and it was 5 yeses. Myself, Dom, Shifting, Synop, and Doof, Dempsey. The shrugs were Silver and Hans, and X was Null. So leaks, but doesn't matter now. We had a whole channel called Orbit Rants in the OCW Other Games server.
And
That whole
I'm not
server was
surprised,
created
honestly.
because Orbit yeeted our other games chat.
Yeah, because
We were playing
yeah.
Minecraft
Here's
on the day
no.
before Scrim, and then we start talking in the other game's text chat, and then you delete it or archive
No,
it,
no, no,
whatever,
here's the
hide
thing.
it from
Yeah,
our view, and then you
Yeah,
delete the other game's
I
voice
literally-
channel, and then you
I
get mad at us. So we had to create a whole another server.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you guys made it so obvious. Like, one day, you were all in VC playing Minecraft, the next day, boom. Gone. It's like, yep, well, they made another server. So, yeah, I mean, I deleted it mainly so you guys would actually show up the scrims,
Even though we were.
Okay, here's
We
Dom's
were.
response to that question. because
To the
shifting
DPS
is
question.
that bad. Oh, to the DP. To,
Oh, the DPS.
oh, okay, that was the DPS.
So yeah, his
Okay.
response to the question of why did we didn't do so hot on the DPS whenever we thought we would, he said it's because we kind of went in over our heads and expected what everyone else was expecting without putting in effort or giving thought to how we should execute said DPS comps. Yes, we did plan. Yes, we were kind of taught how we should play it, but quite frankly, I think on top of us being in our overheads, I think other teams were expecting us to play the comps, study them in the develop counters.
Yeah, and I that is a really good way to put it, because now that I think about it, the most we got about how to play quad DPS or multi DPS was basically just spread out and take multiple angles forehead, and it was left at that. And
True.
I mean, I don't think we.
Actually never coaching a team before, and that's my knowledge on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Dom is currently also typing out his response to the your last question about why we didn't go to staff earlier.
Yeah. I have one complaint from the season about management. I know, like you had no experience with, coaching or anything, and I'm not trying to go on a witch hunt for you, Orbit. But like after every single map, you would always come straight at us with how poorly we did in some departments. I feel like sometimes that took a mental toll on us. In my opinion, like it was kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it was really, I don't know. There was never like a good try, guys. You did your best. After every map, it was kind of just you did this wrong, and this wrong, and this wrong. In my opinion. Yes. No. Anyone
That
else?
yeah, I agree. I think
Okay, yeah, no.
well,
sorry.
because we did talk to Sinop about that, and then Sinop went to Orbit about that, and and I think Orbit did cool off on that later into the season. But I do agree that was kind of the case at the beginning.
I
of
would
the
agree that's an
season.
earlier season issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an early season.
I guess it's just kind of stuck in my head.
I mean, I put it in too much. I don't know. Yeah.
You
Ben
traumatized
just-
Dad.
I noticed if I noticed like a tiny mistake, I would just like point it out. It's like
Discount Quacky.
Mm-hmm. What?
You mean quack?
Quacks? Oh, it's Quacks. Okay, yeah, discount.
Not quacky.
Anyways, while Dom is typing out an entire essay.
oh
Okay.
god.
All right,
All right, there
here we
it
go.
is.
Well, I personally didn't realize it was an actual problem that you could slap a band-aid on until the end. Like I said, this was literally my first ever organized team. And I don't know if we already went in through this out there, but somewhere along our path of mass chaos, loss, and destruction, we debated throwing a coup and going to management to seek for the replacement for a manager. But by the time we decided not to, even if we had decided to all be on board, it probably would have been ineffective.
I agree with that. I feel like this was the answer to why didn't we go to staff earlier about management issues.
That pretty much
Stop!
makes
Don't
sense. And,
Yeah.
Okay, just for the sake of my curiosity, when was this? Like this whole like cute thing.
This was like week 6-ish.
Hey,
Probably.
Where's
Hold
the
on.
original?
Seven-ish?
Wait, no, it was
I'd
week, it was like week
I'd say
7.
week 7. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we were thinking, oh, it's getting too late into the season. A few weeks is playoffs. I think it was getting in our heads. I feel like we would have felt threatened just by their dominant presence.
Can you repeat
I
that
feel like-
question? Because that's kind of back.
Oh, the question was, like, if we had won in the quarterfinals, we would have faced Pepega Parrots, and how did we feel about that? How would we have felt about going up against them?
I feel like we wouldn't have high hopes either because we lost both times to them. And I wouldn't call them close games during the regular season.
No, they definitely the scoreline they weren't close, but actual like map wise, like each map was.
I think none of us-
First week was closer. Second time was.
I
Less
think the
close,
problem with the playoffs is that all of us were expecting to beat Double Clap, but none of us were expecting to beat Pepega. Like, we all expected the Pepega match to be close, but we didn't expect to win it. So we would have already gone in thinking that, oh, well, this is probably the end of the season for us. So I know, like, during the Botburgers match, we tossed around the idea of just doing meme comps because it was our last match and it didn't even affect the standings. But
Yeah.
I don't think the outcome would have been very much different in the Pepega match.
I feel like the double clap match, like it was kind of a shocker to most of us that we lost
It
it,
was
that
a
hard and that
shocker.
fast.
I think that it was. I think it was partially because that was actually the first time we had played against McCree. I think, wasn't it? So we weren't.
No,
we
that
absolutely
was,
weren't.
You guys
Oh, it
played
wasn't.
first week.
Okay, because I think we really weren't expecting to come up against such a strong Widowmaker player until we faced Pepega or Botburgers with Magical and whoever's Widowmaker is Z Power for Botburgers. Okay.
Yeah. I wish I could go back in time to that double clap match and say like when we were like getting mentally boomed, like especially on that Kings Row match on defense, like we were coming back, comms were basically silent and all this, and we didn't know what to run there. I wish I could just say, hey guys, we're about to lose. Can we get our head back in the game? But we just stayed silent, you know. I wish I could have rallied you guys, or someone
Yeah,
could have.
honestly,
back.
McCree mentally boomed me. At one point, I was hiding behind a shield because I'm like, I knew that I had to play safe and respect sightlines and stuff after the first two maps, and I was hiding behind a shield, and then he just grapple shot me from the air, and I'm like, okay, yeah, there's nothing I can do. I felt like I was powerless against him, that I was just gonna get sniped from no matter where I stood.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really remember a lot from that game, so I don't really have anything to say about that game.
It's good to get it out of your head.
All I remember about that game is not playing.
True.
Yeah.
I am Flex God, man.
I'm a dude
No,
with just
you're
one
a
trick at heart.
I mean, I'm known as like
Dempsey's a
Genji
twerp one
OTP,
trick.
so
Yeah, well, first of all, Dempsey definitely is not a one trick. I think Dad can play other heroes, but I think he's mainly a Genji one trick.
wow.
I think that's the same case with shifting but with Doomfist.
Okay, my May kind of pops though. My Hanzo's
Yeah,
not
I
bad.
said you were good at other characters, but
No.
Genji just dominates that compared to everything else.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not an Ash one trick as much as people like to say it. I think
You're
I
an
can
Ash
play a
one
decent
trick, get outta
Widow.
here.
You're an Ash one
Yeah,
trick.
you're bad. You're bad. Shut up.
But a lot of, I guess I just play a much better Ash than everything else, so that's why. And also,
That's
the
the
reverse
definition of
sweep.
an
The
Ash
reverse
one
sweep
trick.
is what made
Honestly-
everyone think that I was an
Um,
Ash one trick.
I feel like in lower levels of play, like I guess up to Diamond here, you're really good at one specific skill set, in my opinion. Like this
Yeah.
could be like a hero or like a different play style,
Bro.
and that sticks with you until the higher levels of play when you have to start expanding that.
Mhm.
Bro.
I guess
Yeah,
I
I
want to
agree.
close this. I guess I want to close this on if Ladies Man becomes meta. We called it. We started it. Don't ever say otherwise. That
Does
is
any-
one trick wonders. That's our one trick wonder special.
Like, okay, I'm just gonna be honest right now. Do any of you remember the actual comp?
Yeah,
I remember it was
You
Yes,
guys
no,
never ran
Ladies
after
Man.
that.
Okay,
Me
it's
and Ada are on a go again. We're on go again on Toker, and we played it in our playoff game and won.
okay. It is.
Oh,
it is
it's so
Ash.
outdated
It
at
is-
this point, it's
Okay,
bad.
all right.
You guys
Here we
make
go.
playoffs? What?
Bro,
Orbit.
that's
I'm
not
gonna. Orbit. Here's the comp. It is Ash, Pharah, Ana, Mercy, Zarya, Reinhardt. It's 5 women, 1 Reinhardt. You keep the
Ladies
Reinhardt
man.
alive. Ladies man. Reinhardt is your
Well,
ladies
okay,
man.
not gonna lie. When you guys started saying ladies man in the thing while I was just spectating your scrims, like back in like week 2, I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then I look at the comments like, I see.
Bro, that's not even.
And then Wolfguard just stomped over that, you know, it's like, no, you're going to die with it.
Can we talk about the
But-
one time? Sorry, but can we talk about the one time Orbit yelled at us to not run 5 tanks, 1 healer, and then we still did it in
And then
an
we
official
stopped
match?
I remember
Okay, when was that? Okay. In the scrim, I wasn't there because my PC died, so I'm not gonna confirm or deny that anything. In your I think your Rio game, your Boppers game.
Yeah,
you
one of
guys
those two.
fucked that up
Yeah,
so
no, I
hard.
was there. It wasn't Bot Burgers. I wasn't there for Bot Burgers.
Yeah, it was probably Rio because I was there for that as well.
Yeah, it
You,
was.
you guys
Oh, yeah,
remember?
it was the map
All
where
right,
I had to run.
Can we get back to the Q&A thing?
Okay. Zach just left his.
See, we're just
session.
we're showing off our hero pools here, guys. Come on.
Bro,
We
we
are,
forgot
we
about
are-
none of Blender, bro.
we are out of questions, so
Oh yeah, our signature nut in the blenders.
It's so different from Clockwork because you change one hero.
I mentioned that in my League Zero summary thing, like the Twitter long thing for season 1 or whatever. I mentioned that actually.
Why'd we stop running that?
Because of
But it
Yuki.
sucked.
It was
No, it didn't
amazing.
suck, it was actually really
The
good.
Tor May duo with the
It,
Roadhog.
it was just our introduction to Clockwork. It was our introduction to Clockwork, and then we swapped to Ana Zen, and then we just ran Clockwork.
Bro, now that BAP
Do
is
you
meta,
guys remember that one scrim where we played Attack on King's Row, and we all went snipers or DPS characters and stood at the top window?
Oh yeah,
Orbit got legitimately tilted.
I got
I
a
don't
pick.
remember that. Wait, why?
I don't remember that either.
the 6-man pick strip, bro.
The 6-man pick strat. Everyone goes a pick hero and goes to the top door of King's Row and tries to get a snipe pick or whatever. We put a bash.
Someone
out
like
there.
shifting just got mad and went Widow, even though he literally said like 2 days later, like I'm shit at Widow.
I don't know.
No, I never. No, I never said I was shit at Widow. I said that sometime. My Widow is extremely inconsistent. I'll either go on a tear and kill everything, or I'll just miss every shot.
That's a move.
Fair enough. But yeah, half the things you guys talked about right now, I don't remember all of it.
I mean, probably because you weren't there for it.
Okay.
So is the Andy thing over?
Well,
I think so.
at this point, yeah, just say goodbye, and then we can
Okay.
No, last
Bye.
time together forever.
You know, unless we just like make another team. But yeah.
Goodbye.
Put me on tour.
I appreciate the experience.
Yeah, it was great. First team experience.
Yeah, same.
We lost very badly, but it was fun. That's what
was.
matters.
All right,
We
goodbye.
lost the
everyone.
mind game, but we won the hand game.
Benchman.
Bye.
Benchmark.